Hello, my name is John Heffernan and I'm delighted to be part of the Heart and Head's Wellness Project. Yeah, well, if I go back to my first experience in physical education would have been with the Defence Forces. I worked there for over 31 years. I did a PTI course back then, a physical training instructors course, where we would learn how to bring troops on training runs and through circuit classes and the likes. I went on and did a civilian qualification in gym instruction after that, and would have worked then in various different gyms in that area of teaching, believe it or not, step aerobics and aerobics classes on the floor, again circuit classes and the likes. In the early or the late 80s, early 90s, I did a sports science degree, a Bachelor of Science through the University of Limerick. That was an eye-opener for me. We studied like psychology, sports psychology, anatomy and physiology, and we looked at biomechanics as well. And since that then I've done various other courses like Math Pilates, and I've been teaching Pilates for the last 20 plus years. And in recent times, maybe 3 years ago, I did my yoga teacher training. I like to teach hot yoga. I teach hot yoga here in the studio in Lucan. In the future, I'd like to keep learning, and I want to go ahead and do the Pilates Reformer course. That's a good question. I hear it all the time. What, that person is fit or whatever, but it's more than just one thing. A person that runs a marathon, they have a certain type of fitness, whereas a person that's in the gym that lifts heavy weights might have a different type of fitness. Really, you have to break down fitness into the different what we call components. Some of those components are what we call health-related components, and other components are performance-related. For the most part, I would deal with people that are interested in the health-related components, and those include cardio or respiratory fitness, the ability to be able to run or to walk, distances. Flexibility is another big one. That's the range of movement about a joint. Muscular strength, another component of fitness. Muscular endurance and body composition. That's the ratio of body fat to muscle mass that we have. So those components of fitness are the ones that people would try to increase or enhance more so. But there are other people then, athletes, sports people, that would like to be fit in other areas like agility, balance, coordination, speed, power and reaction time. And they need those components of fitness for their particular sport in order to achieve or increase their performance in that particular area. So there are many benefits to being fit. There are three headings really you could look at. One would be physical benefits, those that include lessening the risk of heart disease, diabetes, or even managing diabetes, weight management, and so on. But there's also this psychological benefits of exercise. They help to manage with stress or less anxiety, and of course then when you're in a group, we have those social benefits too. You're meeting others, like in a yoga class, you're meeting with 5 or 6 or 10 other people, and that's very important as well. Yes, it can be measured. When we go back to those components of fitness that I mentioned before, the health-related components of fitness, the cardio-respiratory endurance, we can measure that in a very simple way. We can do various tests. We could do a run test. In my time in the Defence Forces, someone would do a 2-mile run, and that time would be taken and offered up to norms for times, and we could tell whether that person was very fit or average, and so on. There are other less invasive tests we can do, maybe like a step test, and if someone's going on to become join the fire brigade or the Garda, they might do a step test instead that takes into account the ability to step up and down on a step over a period of time and measuring their heart rate as they do so. The other component of fitness that I mentioned at the start, the health-related component of fitness, was flexibility. So we can measure that too by using various methods. One of those is use of a goniometer, which measures, it's like a protractor, measuring the angle that joints, or just use a basic sit and reach test. With muscular strength, like strength compared to muscle endurance, it's the heaviest weight you can lift once. It's the maximum weight you can lift in a once-off effort. So we can measure strength by basically lifting in the gym, maybe a bench press, find out your 1 rep max, the heaviest weight you can lift once. When it comes to muscle endurance, we do exercises that takes into account time. So we might ask someone to do push-ups in a minute. Now that could be a full push-up or a modified push-up depending on their ability, their gender and so on. And again, we can offer those scores up to a table of norms to see where they lie within that table. And lastly, body composition. We can do a BMI test, which is not very accurate. It takes into account your body weight and your height. Other tests which are much more accurate than that might be skin fold calipers, where we measure body fat on different sites of the body. There's the 4-site test, and we can take those 4 measurements in millimeters and put them into an equation, and we can work out their percentage body fat. Yeah, that's a really good question. There are lots of guidelines out there that we would follow, and it's very important that we have a program and that we would follow that program stringently. It's all about consistency within the program. We use a principle called the FIT principle, where we take into account the F in the FIT. It's FITT. The F stands for frequency. So, for instance, if I want to improve my muscular endurance, if I wanted to tone up, I would train 3 times per week. The I in that FIT stands for the intensity. So I would work at a certain percentage of my 1 rep max. So if I could lift at a bench press 100 kilograms, if I want to increase my muscle endurance, I would lift 50 or 60% of that, which would be 50 or 60 kgs. And I would do 15 repetitions, 15 times, and take a minute rest and do it a further time, or a second time, or a third time. And like I said, 1 minute's rest in between. So we follow guidelines if we want to improve. That would be muscle endurance. We follow similar guidelines for muscular strength. The weight would be heavier, of course. The rest in between would be different also. And the number of days per week would be different also. When it comes to cardiovascular endurance, we can follow guidelines. And there are guidelines for the FIT principle there as well. And the same with flexibility and for weight loss or body composition. Yeah, so over the next while, my plan will be to take a look at, in depth, various different systems within the body. So your body is broken down into a number of different systems. The ones that relate, I suppose, to fitness and exercise would be the circulatory system. So we'll look at the heart and the blood vessels and the blood as it flows around the body. We will move on to the respiratory system, so we look at the lungs and we look at the airways that carry the air through your nose down into your air sacs, the alveoli, and gas exchange that takes place there. I also want to cover the skeletal system, where we look at the different bones in the body. The anatomy and physiology, that term alone, the anatomy is the structure. So in the skeletal system, we look at the structure of the body, the names of the bones, where those bones are, the different categories of bones in the body. And then the physiology part of it is about how these structures work together. So we'll take a look at, when we go back to the heart, we'll take a look at how the heart beats and so on. We'll take a look at the joints of the body, the knee joint, the hip joint, shoulder joints. So the different types of joints that we have and the movements that we find at those joints. Then we'll move on to the muscular system and take a look at the different types of skeletal muscle that we have, and we'll take a look at how they contract, and then we'll move on to the energy systems, where your energy comes from for movement, and lastly we will look at the nervous system, the nerve impulse, how it's generated and how it passes through your body to your muscles, so your muscles will move. Thanks so much for watching the presentation. Please click on the button below if you have any questions, and we'll get around to answering those in the coming weeks.